This is the slightly better version of the ix12 18650 battery holder, and because it's all one piece, you don't have to mess around. And this means you can just put 3 in here, have it off to the side, and swap out this entire thing. And it's slightly safer because if you put your batteries in the wrong way, you'll know it before you hook up the connector. And that way, you know, there's one extra step before you hook it up to your radio and possibly damage your radio. And on that point, again, even though this may be a little bit better, still do this at your own risk. This is on you. You mess around with your radio, especially the battery or power or polarity going to your radio. It's your fault. If something happens, it's you know, you did it. So make sure you check your connections, your wiring, and the polarity of your connector. No matter who you buy your connectors from, they may be backwards from what the actual radio uses or whatever device. So okay, with that said, I've gotten these things in here, the clips, which are a link in the description, and they are snug, so you can heat these up with a hair dryer or just use a tool. I use the tool. You can see some screwdriver marks to push it in there. It'll take some force, just watch your hands. So if I've got them where they're showing beyond the bottom of the tray, and I will clip these eventually, and you want to clip them below the level of the plastic. I guess it doesn't really matter, but by doing that, you won't, once this goes in your radio, you won't scratch the battery compartment in the radio. So to do this, so for me, this side is positive and this side is obviously ground with the springs. That's just the standard for batteries. So this needs to go this way, and it's gonna, this 26 gauge wire is just fits under this little groove that I built in. So you just need to be able to solder all 3 points here, here, and here. Now I've stripped wire off the end, but you need to be able to strip wire somewhere in the middle, and to do that, all I do is I just kind of eyeball it, measure it, put my side cutters here, and I'm just going to gently push until I see the wire break and move. There it goes. See, now I see a little bit of metal. I'm going to go around and do that to the other side. Alright, it just did that. So now there it is. So you can also just use this to cut it off from the, just don't cut the wire off, no big deal, but I don't want to do this again. So there you go, exposed piece of wire that measures up to the right place. And I'll do it again, and I'll also do it for the ground wire as well. Okay, so I've made sausage links out of the positive wire and the ground wire. Notice the ground wire is longer because it has farther to reach, the way I'm doing it, since the ground wire is farther away from the connector. So I've got these stripped right where they need to be, and I've twisted them just to strand them a little bit. And now I'm going to use flux paste. I use a cut-off zip tie. Now get a little flux paste on there. Well, it's very stringy. And I'm going to put it on these connectors. So I'm going to do no specific order, but I'm going to do positive first. So I get it on here like this with my flux paste brush, i.e. zip tie, and then put it on the first one. Okay, this is PLA. You can use PETG or something else, but since I'm using PLA, don't want to hold it on too long. So I'm going to do this pretty quick, just enough to get that solder to stick. And you want to try to get as high as you can so that it runs in the groove. Okay, that's on there. And then we'll do the middle one. Finally, the third one. Alright, now the trick is, you want to cut these as close as you can. In fact, you don't want it is poking out above the plastic. Just I don't want to scratch my battery tray. I'm gonna do this in the garbage can so the piece doesn't go flying off. Okay. And I might even cut it like this. Okay, that's pretty good. Trimmed real close. I'm gonna leave this like this until my connectors get here so it doesn't cause any damage. I'm gonna do the same for the ground side. So here it is, it's complete, it's done, and it's inside here. I have an external battery for my Crossfire. I think I'm gonna still go with that, just because it works well for me. But here's the, so there it is, the whole tray. It's pretty snug. I don't have the connectors yet, so these wires kind of just are dangling at the moment. And to pull this out, now I did add this piece of tape to make it easier to pull out. It's still very snug though, so you kind of have to pull from both ends as you're removing this. So if I pull, positive on that side, ground on the spring side, and that's it. But there you go, 3500 milliamp 18650s, and I suspect the original battery pack is in fact 18650s. I mean the size and dimensions. However, obviously they do it this way so that you can't accidentally screw up the polarity, and it's very safe because you're always going to plug it in one way and the connector is keyed. With this, if you do this, you know what's going to happen, right? So at least with this tray, you can have it ready. Know that everything's positive, assuming you mark these correctly, and assuming your connector's correct, you know that you're putting in the battery set the correct way. But again, do this at your own risk. Anytime you mess around with power, polarity, you have a chance to damage something, and that is fully your responsibility. Alright, thanks.